Hello, I'm Arianwen and I'm the President of Warwick BioSoc. I'm here today to talk with Elena Riva, Associate Professor and IATL Director of Studies here at Warwick, and postgraduate student Wiki Jeglinska. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Sure, thank you so much for having us. It's really nice to be able to talk to you today. As you said, my name is Elena Riva and I'm an Associate Professor and Director of Studies at IATL, where I develop, among other things, and deliver interdisciplinary modules. And my main research focus and passion is around well-being, as you would probably tell after this interview. But as a background, I've done all my studies up to postdocs in chemistry, so I've got a lot to share with you guys.
Fantastic.
So hello and thank you for having us. It's really great to be here. And my name is Vicky, and like you said, I'm a postgrad student at Warwick. I did 3 years of my undergrad at Warwick as well, studying education studies, and now I've stayed on for a research master's in education as well, and my research is about migrant families in the UK and their experiences of education. I'm also really interested in well-being as a concept and well-being at university. Also involved with IATL as a co-creation officer, so I work closely with the department on various projects. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. So Elena and Vicky are here to tell us about their new online module, Understanding Wellbeing. So thank you very much both for taking time out. So the first thing I thought we'd start with is just talking about why now is a particularly important time to talk about student wellbeing.
Yes, I think it's always been, very important to promote and support the importance and the relevance of well-being. But in particular, obviously, after the time that we all had in the past 2 years, it's even more important to really underline how crucial it is to gather all the tools that we need for being able to support our own well-being and the well-being of our peers and our university community. Without sounding too doom and gloom, it is well understood, and there is plenty of research that kind of showcase how students' well-being in higher education, it's really declining, and in many research literature papers, and also, as you probably have read in newspapers and interviews and TED talks, we are facing a students' well-being crisis in universities, and this has been exacerbated by the pandemic. Therefore, it's has never been, in a sense, more important to make sure that our community really is able to support themselves, and what we offer is one of the ways, of the many ways in which we can make sure that positive experiences of well-being can be supported and can be fostered. It's not the only way. It's part of a holistic vision that Warwick has for improving the well-being of students and staff. That is part of the Warwick Wellbeing Strategy 2020-2024, and this particular initiative that aims at increasing literacy and knowledge around well-being is very much part of this Warwick Wellbeing Strategy for supporting, as I said, the well-being of our community.
Yes, I can see how it's really important, and I can see some of your kind of motivations and passions behind the project there. What would you say really inspired you to develop this module?
I have been teaching students for quite a while now, and it always kind of struck me how very often we see well-being as something disjointed somehow from our academic life, as if well-being is on one side and academic life is on the other, as if we can foster our well-being outside university, perhaps doing all sorts of activities outside that time, but it doesn't really find space in our daily academic environment. And I think that this is one of the problems. It's really almost pushing well-being on a side and thinking about how you feel and if you're functioning well at second stage. It cannot be like that. Absolutely is not. And I think it's quite clear, if you think about your own experience, if we think about our own experience, that we only study well and we only work well when we are well, when we can function well. So this is so interlinked. It has to be part, really, of our university experiences down to the core. And while obviously there are provisions that are there in terms of support if you need counseling or if you want to experience some well-being practices like yoga or sports and so on, what is really apparent and is true very much in nowadays research is that there is a missing kind of gap. There is a gap in terms of well-being literacy. So if I ask the people what is well-being or what are the studies around it, it's quite struggle around that. There is a lot of perhaps stigma associated to it or bias. People think it's a bit of an airy-fairy discourse, which is absolutely not. There are tons of research around it. And all this knowledge can really support our understanding of well-being and can really help us to take care of ourselves. Just to conclude, the World Health Organization in 2013 really highlighted how health literacy is one of the main predictors for health, far more important, believe it or not, of social background. And the same is really coming forward around the similar type of understanding is coming forward when we talk about well-being. So an enhanced well-being literacy can really support, can be a predictor for our well-being. If we know what we're talking about, if we know what we are supposed to do, if we know what we're experiencing is something that we can deal with, or we can act upon, that really will make a massive impact later on. Hence why I started to develop these modules that really had the aim to enrich and support students' well-being literacy. And the same counts for staff. We are one community, so the next step is creating a staff well-being module.
Oh, that sounds like a really interesting project. I can really see how you're trying to incorporate this understanding of well-being almost into the curriculum of a university degree.
Indeed.
So looking more into that, how was the content for the module actually developed and what sort of form does it take?
So originally the module ran as a in-classroom modules that students can take for CATs, and we still have a sister module that runs in that way. So students from all faculty can come and take the module as part of the IATL provision in the second or third year. And the module was developed in interdisciplinary form. So we have experts coming from all walks of universities, School of Life Science, Psychology, WBS, CLL. The more you mention, the more there are. We really developed this module together as a network community of people that study well-being from the different perspective of their own discipline. Well-being is not only an affair of science, it's an affair of name one disciplines. There is someone that is thinking about how aspects of their disciplines influence well-being. The last one I came across, that is a part of the university in engineering that study how the physical environment, the way in which we build buildings and cities, but even the way in which we, kind of choose the interior designing of our room can affect our well-being. So, as I said, you name it, every discipline has something to tell us on how we can support well-being. So really the structure of the module is deeply interdisciplinary and really has the intent to show you how you can think about all the aspects of your life in relation to the concept of well-being and how to support it. As the in-classroom module has been so successful, together with the students of the module that took the module in the past 4 years, we have decided to find a way to make the module open to all the Warwick community. And the natural ways, which we also pushed through the pandemic, we learned a lot in terms of online learning, was to translate the module in an online version that could be accessible to everyone. Very briefly, I show it on Moodle. It is a Moodle, and then when you have the time, you can explore the module and take it, just clicking on a link attached to this newsletter. So the module, you see, it is a Moodle, is easily accessible, is divided in 3 levels. The bronze, the silver, and the gold, and each level will contribute to really support your understanding of well-being. The module is divided in 10 different sections: well-being as a concept, how to develop healthy habits, buying wellness, reflecting the interdisciplinary nature of well-being. And you will be able to explore each section simply clicking on the green booklet, and you will be able to just dive into the different 10 topics that constitute the bronze level and the silver and the gold, and explore the content, simply listening to podcasts in which we have a conversation between our experts that, as I said, come from different walks of the university, and one of the students, while they discuss well-being topics. As you see, probably you might recognize the name of Skyla. This module was co-produced by myself, Lorenzo Serini, who is another academic in IATL, and some students, among which 2 from School of Life Science, Skyla White, Naoma Nafour, and Vicky that is with us today. After the podcast that you can listen to in your own time while running or doing the washing up or doing your supermarket kind of shopping, you can engage with quite a few activities that have been put together by our co-creator students that will support in relate what you have listened to the podcast to your own life. There are a lot of reflective activities. You have the opportunity to write a little journal that you can keep for yourself, and really make sure that what you listen that comes from an expert can then really somehow impact and affect your own ways of thinking about well-being. I won't go any further into it because I want you guys to have the opportunity to really explore the module. But the idea, the way in which it's been kind of created is really as something easy to approach, easy to engage with, and that can really support this idea of personal and collective well-being as something that can be supported and fostered.
Fantastic. I really like that it seems really easy to incorporate into your daily life. I mean, undergraduate and university students are so busy that it's really great that they can see a quick, easy way to kind of get little sound bites of kind of well-being information. So Vicky, your module is open and applicable to all students, not just students in the School of Life Sciences. Would you say that it's aimed at any particular sector or issue?
Yeah, so as Elena said, the well-being crisis, it kind of affects all students regardless of their department and their discipline. So School of Life Sciences students have been able to take the module this term, and they're sort of the pilot set of students that will be taking the module along with a few other departments. In term 2, the module will be open to all students. So we really wanted to make the module accessible to everyone. Well-being is part of everyone's lives. So it's not really aimed at a specific department of students. It's not aimed at a specific group of students. It's for all Warwick students. And we thought that, again, like Elena said, that's why we had to make the module truly accessible for everyone. And the core of that is the interdisciplinary nature of the module. So we have experts from various different fields and various different disciplines on the module, which again is part of making it accessible to everyone. And as a student, I think that's such a fantastic opportunity. So like I said, I do education studies, and that is quite interdisciplinary in itself. You know, we learn about the history of education, psychology of learning and things like that. But then being able to look at well-being from an interdisciplinary point of view was such an amazing experience. So on the module, we have one session which is all about the economics of well-being. And, you know, like that's something that I never would have studied if I didn't take the module. We also have philosophy of well-being, where we learn about emotional education. And again, I feel like most students won't experience that just in their degree. So I think this module is really, really valuable for all students to go a little bit beyond their own degree, beyond their own discipline, and learn something that will be really valuable in their daily life. So to answer your question, yes, it's open to School of Life Sciences students now, and it will be available to all students in term 2.
Fantastic. I can really tell that accessibility is really at the forefront of what you guys are trying to do with this module. And I think as part of that, the module is here accredited, but it doesn't carry any CATs, does it? So what would you say are the main advantages for students to signing up?
Yeah, so we wanted the module to be sort of a resource for students to build out wellbeing literacy, to learn more about wellbeing, and, you know, that will hopefully improve an aspect of their lives. But at the same time, we also recognize that it would be valuable for students to have some sort of accreditation from taking the module. So that's why the module is here accredited. And we also thought that would be quite valuable for students to have on their degree transcript for future employment opportunities. You know, the wellbeing crisis is prominent at university, but it doesn't just stop when you go into the workplace. Wellbeing is important throughout life, and when you go into work, having done this module, you'll have such an enriched level of understanding of wellbeing, and you'll be able to use that to help yourself, but others as well, being able to recognize what a workplace might need. And I think it's really valuable that students will be able to have this accreditation and to be able to say that they've taken this module. So I think an advantage is that, yes, although it doesn't have the CATs with it, you still get an accreditation from it. And there are many more advantages for taking the module, which I could list, but I think the main sort of aim is to be a very rich resource for improving wellbeing literacy.
Absolutely. So on the more kind of practical side of things, what sort of time commitment do you recommend, and how is this module assessed?
Okay, again, when we created the module, we didn't want to put sort of a time constraint on it. So once students enroll on the module, there is no time constraint on when they have to finish it. So if someone enrolled on the module in term 1, they could take the entire academic year to do the module, and they could do it in their own time. We didn't want to create more stress because that would completely defeat the point of the module. So basically, when you enroll, you can do it all in your own time. There is no constraint on when you have to finish it. But if you want more of an outline, I think the longest podcast we have is about 30 minutes. So each session has a podcast, and I think they're on average about 20 minutes. So you listen to the podcast and then engage in the reflective activity. And then again, it's hard to say how long that takes because some people might want to really, really write a lot for the reflective activity and really get into it. Some people might just write bullet points, and that's absolutely fine. It's how you want to engage with the module. But there's also knowledge quizzes and review quizzes. So I think maybe about an hour per session, but again, some people might take longer, some people might go through it quicker. So yeah, that doesn't really answer your question because there is no time constraint on it, and you can be quite free with how long you take on each session. But I think that's also quite a benefit of the module. It really allows you to sort of take ownership of your learning and spend how long you need on it.
Yeah. It really seems like it's a case of what you want to get out of it. That's what you can get out of it.
Yes. Oh, and sorry, I also missed, how is it assessed? So we have the review quizzes. So if you want the HERE accreditation, you have to complete the review quizzes for each section. And that's sort of the most formal way of assessing. Other than that, we have the reflective activities, which aren't really assessment. They're for you to do in your own time.
Fantastic. That's fabulous. So I believe you're going to be available to talk a bit further and give students the opportunity to find out more and ask any questions they might have at the BioCafe session on November the 22nd.
Yes, I'll be coming along to that. Looking forward to it.
Lovely. And where else can we find information if we want to know more in the meantime?
So in the meantime, if you want to gather more information, we have a dedicated page that you can find on this newsletter. We have an inbox, and the details for that again will be part of the information attached, and then, you know, just feel free to explore the module, to start to have a look at it, and Vicky will be then available to answer to all your questions later on. One thing I'd like to add is that because the module is so flexible, we have developed 3 different levels: bronze, silver, and gold. So you can, again, you can decide to get more and more into it. There are opportunities to really become an expert in the area, and obviously this will enrich your CV and also will, and is the main, as Vicky said, is our main aim, will give you a lot of tools for really support your well-being throughout your academic degree, which is so important also because we know that really how you feel and function does impact on your academic achievement and your enjoyment of university. So see it as a way to really kind of support your time at Warwick, not only in terms of you know, social time, but also in terms of academic time. As I said before, we function well, we work well, we study well when we are well, and we really need to acquire these tools for supporting ourselves, but also the well-being of all our community, also of your peers, the people with which you interact. We're all connected and we all have to take care of each other, I think, and hopefully this module will slightly contribute to that, and that is really what we'd like to achieve.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us today.
Lovely to talk to you.